How did CSF start?
Bart Burkholder, and it was Carl Barch going down to interview for jobs. It was that time of the year, the engineering school, the end of the semester, and you go down and you interview for jobs down the basement of the building. So I waited around after school was over and after the hours for me to go home to see how they came out. And they came up to my office and we talked. Well, I said, but we didn't get any jobs offers that we liked at all. We wanted to do what we were doing here. And what kind of jobs were you looking for? And they, they got offers from the Ford Motor Company. I forget some, was it Bell Labs or something? They said, we wanted to do the kind of work we were doing here at the university. And I forget what Bart picked. I think was it the one you were on in the hospital? In the library?
Yeah.
So that's what they wanted to do, they said. That's the kind of jobs they were looking for. They didn't want to work in a factory or something. They didn't know what it was like, but they knew they didn't want to do it.
So whose idea was to set up the nonprofit to do that?
I said, well, why don't you guys set up a company that hires you?
Right.
And they thought that was a good idea. So I said, well, let's meet tomorrow night here, and I'll write up the articles of incorporation, and we'll see what we hear. So I brought in the articles of incorporation, all written. We signed them and sent them in that night. I think it was Carl Barch and Dean that set up the company. So we, to get incorporated, you had to send in, I think it was $30.
Right.
So we each put in $10, and we sent the thing, and got a notice back about 3 weeks later, and we were incorporated. What do we do now? And so I said, well, what you do is you go out and you get a project to do. I said, why don't you set up a meeting with Sister Mary Lynn in the hospital.
St. Joe.
And go to St. Joe's and go over there and ask her if there's any problems that are bothering her. And so maybe you could work on them. So actually all three of us went over, and she said, well, I hear tell that, she didn't really talk like that, but it sounded like that, that you can do payroll by computer. Do you guys know how to do that? I said, no, but we can learn. And so we took the project. We didn't even talk about pay or anything. We just said, we'll do it. And we went over, and I remember sitting on the floor on some building over in the, near the math department, Angel Hall someplace, I don't remember where, trying to learn how to program that darn punch card computer, where you wired it, you know. You didn't program it, you wired it. You want to do, what do you want to do next? Add, multiply, divide, or what?
It might have been the 403. I don't know what.
403,
it was
that
an
sounds
old
like
one,
right.
I tell you. And I sent the guys, we went over and I said, now write down every function, every step of the process of payroll. And they did, and they wrote it out as a flow diagram. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we just then went over and programmed that into it. And then we took the, they did have a punch card input because they had a time machine. They kept the time.
Sure.
What do you call it? Time clock.
Right.
Yeah, and so we took the time clock output and we shoved it into our program, and we made, the people at St. Joe's did it manually, and we compared the two outputs, and we had them exactly all right, the same way they came to it, same answer.
You were lucky if that happened.
Yeah, well, we were awful lucky, yeah. So we tried it again the next month.
No, I'm lucky because there's probably were arithmetic errors made on the manuals.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, that was our first project, and that started CSF. 2 years later, we had over $1 million worth of business. There were other kids like that too. Well, that was what we were proudest of, that they were producing their own jobs.